Sorry about that, guys. Hold on a minute. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining for GW's Mid-Autumn Festival today. My name is Shula, and I am the Program Associate at the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences Global Initiatives. While we are waiting for a few stragglers to join, feel free to type where you are tuning in from in the chat box. I remember last year we had like people from all over the place. We have people from like California. I think there was one person from Switzerland. I may have, or somewhere far, far away, but I was really impressed. But yeah, this is our second time holding this event virtually, and it would not have been possible without the collaboration of our sponsors and our partners. So thank you, a huge thank you to all of them for making this possible, and make sure to check them out after today's event for more amazing, exciting things happening. General house rules before we begin our program. I would kindly like to ask everyone to mute your audio unless asked otherwise. But if you have any questions or comments, or you see something like really relevant to you and wanted to share your story, please feel free to type them in the chat. There is one segment during the live tea ceremony that you are allowed to have conversation with Jennifer Swanson, if you'd like, about the seasons or anything, but she will talk more about how that works later on. So it is my great honor to introduce our lovely MC, Mr. Patrick Realiza. He is a strategic communications and public relations professional based in the Washington, D.C. area. He is the current chair of the GW Asian and Pacific Islander Alumni Network, where he actively leads and facilitates in the development and creation of programs and initiatives, overall administration, and communications strategies on behalf of the Alumni Network. Aside from his role within the GW Alumni Association, Mr. Realiza also is an active leader in the arts, serving as the executive director and editor-in-chief of the Mid-Atlantic Foundation for Asian Arts Incorporated, a regional-based arts foundation aimed at the presentation and preservation of Asian and Asian American arts and culture in the United States. Mr. Realiza also concurrently holds various other leadership posts within the government of the District of Columbia and the United Nations Association of the National Capital Area. So without further ado, let's welcome opening remarks from our lovely MC today.
Thank you, Shula. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us at this year's GW Mid-Autumn Festival. This year's celebration also coincides with the GW bicentennial anniversary, making it an even more special event. A huge thanks goes to our co-sponsors, the GW East Asia National Resource Center, the GW Sigur Center for Asian Studies, the GW Institute for Korean Studies, the GW Department of East Asian Languages and Literature, and the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences Global Initiatives for making this event possible. And special thanks again to our partners, the GW Asian and Pacific Islander Alumni Network, the GW Chinese American Student Association, and the Omentenseki Japanese Tea Ceremony for making this event spectacular. Considered to be the second most important Asian holiday after the Lunar New Year, the Harvest Festival dates back to over 3,000 years and is also known as the Moon Festival or Mooncake Festival. It is a time of gratitude and reunion as people reflect on the past year and celebrate the fruits of their labor. Personally, thinking about my own Filipino-American upbringing, I very much enjoyed this time of year, especially because of those delicious mooncakes that I get to enjoy. But more importantly, as an opportunity to pause and take note of all the things we can truly be grateful for, even in the midst of this ongoing global pandemic today. In the end, I truly hope that all of you tuning in this afternoon will enjoy the chance to learn about some of the unique ways that various Asian cultures commemorate this important festival through performance art, music, history, cultural traditions, and so much more. So without further ado, let's get started. So next we have a performance that highlights the power of arts and culture in Korea. Celebrating Chuseok, or Korean Thanksgiving, means an abundance of traditional foods, gifts, and games shared amongst families to bring harmony and unity while welcoming in the autumn equinox. Additionally, reminiscing and appreciating ancient art forms like traditional dance can make Chuseok all the more special. Today, we bring you a 1990s Gumu performance from the Gangwon province dance team, courtesy of Professor Immanuel Kim and his wife Angela, a former dance team member. Gumu is a sword dance that dates back to the Goryeo Kingdom from 37 BCE, one of the three kingdoms in Korean history. Based on mural paintings found in that period, the sword dance shows the prosperous and energetic spirit of the people from the northern part of Korea. Displaying the power of the sword, the dance symbolizes driving out evil spirits for that year. It is a dance that requires a high level of skill and strength. Please enjoy.
Of course we would have errors today, but you know what? Better get them out of the way now than later. Please bear with me for a minute. Are you guys able to hear the audio?
No.
Okay, hold on. Okay, you know what? Third time's the charm. 3 is a lucky number in China, so I'm going to manifest this works. What about now? Was the audio audible this time?
Yes.
Ah, okay, lovely. See, I told you 3 was a lucky number.
Next, we have Mr. Gabriel Young, who is a third-year student here at GW studying political science and international affairs. He's originally from San Jose, California, and identifies as Filipino and Chinese. On campus, Gabriel is the president of the Chinese American Student Association. He also serves as the programming chair for the Taiwanese American Student Association and is a student association sender for the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences. Aside from academics, Gabriel also loves to sing, play guitar and piano, and chat with friends, cook, and share his cultural practices with anyone and everyone. He hopes that you and your families and friends have a wonderful Mid-Autumn Festival.
大家好，我叫 Gabriel Young，或者我是杨兴士。Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Patrick, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Gabriel, and I'm here to share with you guys about the beauty of Zhongqujie, also known as the Mid-Autumn Festival in Chinese. I'm gonna drop the pronunciation in the chat, so if you want to learn how to say it alongside with me, feel free. So there you go. So kind of a brief overview, the Mid-Autumn Festival in China is kind of a Thanksgiving, if you will. It's a time about reunion, gratitude, just reflecting on the year since the Chinese used to run on their lunar calendar. So whether you're a friend or if you're a family member, you just come together for a giant feast and enjoy the full moon, make paper lanterns, and most importantly, eat mooncakes, which I just had a few and still I'm gonna snack on later. So kind of the history of the Mid-Autumn Festival in Han Chinese culture is associated with the moon goddess Chang'e and her pet rabbit, the jade rabbit. And the Chinese believe the silhouette on the full moon and its craters resemble the jade rabbit on the grind. And why this is a long time ago, there used to be a lot of evil spread around in Chinese culture caused by the 10 suns. And for those familiar with Chinese culture, the sun is and sky are the most important symbols. And so Ho Yi, a hunter who was Chang'e's husband, shot down the 9 suns and left one up, which is the sun we see in the sky, but eventually became known as benevolent ruler and wanted the elixir of immortality, which Chang'e wanted to serve her people and improve it. Hence why she took the elixir of immortality, became the moon goddess, and she is who we see now in the sky today. And hence why we eat mooncakes that are shaped after the moon. Next slide, please. But aside from that kind of interesting perspective on Chinese history and culture, here in America, of course, being in a diasporic population, practices aren't the same as they are back in mainland China and in Taiwan. So kind of how I celebrate, which in conversation with my peers is kind of analogous to how we all celebrate, is we do a variety of things. So as you can see in the middle, we definitely eat a meal together. We make sure all the elders are included. If you're far away, we try to bring back everyone just to have that nice meal. And especially in Chinese culture, unlike here in America, where everything's very individualistic, our communalistic lifestyle causes us to cook big dishes and serve each other. So it's very important for going back to Confucianism of filial piety to come in play, and the sons serve the elders, then the sons serving the kids, and the kids eventually serving their older siblings, and so forth. Additionally, with pouring tea and whatnot. And this eventually goes into what we see below is the mooncakes. So mooncakes are also used as a delicacy in China to welcome someone into someone's home. So if someone has gone far away and is finally coming back, it is traditional and according to present them with a mooncake. And there are a variety of mooncakes now, as this has become a widespread market and in high demand, whether it be durian or lotus seed or red bean mooncakes, you can find a flavor to your suiting. Next, since the whole family's together, there are 2 practices that are shared. There is watching movies or singing karaoke, playing games like mahjong. So particularly for me, I watched Over the Moon, which I highly recommend everyone to watch, which tells the tale of a young girl who is grieving after her mother's passing, but used to make mooncakes with her. And she goes to the moon to meet Chang'e and bond over their grieving processes. After not going to spoil it too much, but as you know, Chang'e is immortal. Next, we make paper lanterns together. Very simple. Here's some instructions. You should take a quick screenshot or a picture of that right now and try making your own. And we usually put candles or lights in the middle of them. and they illuminate the room around us. But yeah, that is kind of how I celebrate. And going back to how we used to sing karaoke together, next slide, please. There's a kind of beauty of the Chinese language and music. And Teresa Tang was a famous Mando pop singer in the 70s. And she recorded the song called Yeliang Dai Biao Wo De Xin, which in English translates to "The moon represents my heart," to symbolize the love one has for another person, especially under the harvest moon in China. So kind of want to present you all with this song that I recorded for you all, and I hope you enjoy.
大家好，我叫杨新世. Hi everyone, my name is Gabriel Young, and this is 月亮代表我的心。你问我爱你有多深，我爱你有几分？我的情一直，我的爱一直，月亮代表我的心。你问我爱你有多深，我爱你有几分？我的情不移，我的爱不变，月亮代表我的心。轻轻的一个吻，已经打动我的心。深深的一段情，叫我思念到如今。你问我爱你有多深，我爱你有几分？你去想一想，你去看一看，月亮代表我的心。Hi GW, I hope this year's Mid-Autumn Festival treats you and your loved ones well, and that you can eat as many mooncakes as you want and spend as much time with your loved ones as you want. Again, my name is Gabriel Young from the GW Chinese American Student Association, and this is The Moon Represents My Heart. 轻轻的一个吻，已经打动我的心。深深的一段情，叫我思念到如今。你问我爱你有多深，我爱你有几分？你去想一想，你去看一看，月亮代表我的心。你去想一想，你去看一看，月亮代表我的心。谢谢你们 ，Happy Mid-Autumn Festival GW and Race High！ 再见。
So again, everyone, my name is Gabriel Young from the GW Chinese American Student Association. If you want to follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you can search at GW CASA or the GW Chinese American Student Association, and we'd love to accommodate and share in our culture and the experience of being a diasporic population. Now I'll turn it back to you, Mr. MC Patrick. Thank you. 谢谢，中秋节快乐。
Ishe Gabriel, thank you so much for that performance and presentation. Next, we have Miss Jennifer Swanson, who is a professional English and Japanese teacher serving the DC area since 1999. Jennifer studied Japanese at UC San Diego. She earned her graduate level multi-subject teaching credential and participated in the JET program for 2 years as an ALT in Kanagawa, Ken, Japan, just south of Tokyo from 1993 to 1995. She then took a job at a Tokyo-based expatriate services company and passed the JLPT N1 in 1998. She started studying Japanese omotenseki tea ceremony in 2013 and has since earned several licenses. She enjoys sharing Japanese tea ceremony at various venues with her tea group, including the Smithsonian Fuhrer Gallery, the Japanese Embassy, the Japan American Society of Washington, D.C., and others. Jennifer is the president of the nonprofit organization SJA, or Study Japan in Arlington, which will hold a free and official omotenseki tea ceremony in Arlington this fall, all of which all of you are invited. Jennifer, thank you.
Thank you so much. The free tea ceremony link will also be available. Actually, it's available now. So you guys may be the first people that are able to sign up. I'll be sharing tea with you here today, but I'd love to share tea with you in person. And we have that opportunity in October. So thank you, Gabriel, and the other presenters that went before me. I learned a lot that I didn't know about other countries and cultures. I really appreciate that. I am not Japanese, as you can see. And there's an awareness in our group as well of cultural appropriation. So I'd like to say up front, I'm not Japanese. I speak Japanese. I'm a Japanese teacher. I lived in Japan. And I appreciate Japanese culture. And the reason I started tea ceremony was to get kind of a deeper understanding of Japanese culture. And that leads me to this kind of event, the Otsukimi Chakai, which is a tea ceremony held in outside, usually outside, so we can look at the moon. And I put a little picture up in the corner of this slide. It shows the full moon. And again, like Gabriel said, the Japanese also see a rabbit, but in the Japanese case, it is pounding mochi to make the dango, which is on the little platform in the middle of the picture. Those dango are called otsukimi dango. Dango is a kind of rice cake. You guys are calling them moon cakes. The Japanese make them out of mochi and put bean paste in the middle. And the otsukimi dango are round like the moon. I don't have any today. I would have to make them, or I was gonna go to H Mart and just try to make them round. But anyway, we can imagine what otsukimi dango would look like. So you can read the history there. All things in Heian period came from China. So this is a tradition that came from China. And then Japanese, of course, being Japan, made it their own thing. So if I could have the next slide, I think the next slide is just me doing tea ceremony, isn't it? Oh, it's my event. Okay, so there's the event. If you want to get some information about that, you can email me, or I think did I put the website on there yet? There's been various versions of this flyer. But I hope you guys can come and get the real Omote Senkei experience. It's an official event. This is not an official event. This is just me sharing tea with you, but that event will be official, and I hope you can join us. I'm sure if you want to attend, you can email the organizers and they will get your information to me. Okay, so on to the tea ceremony. Is that the next slide? Yes, so I chose this bowl today. You can see it has the leaves on it, the momiji leaves, the Japanese made bowl. So this would be chosen for the tea ceremony today. I also chose this chaide, which is the tea caddy, because it's round and it has a round dot on the top that to me looks like the round moon. So I chose those for today. And then I've already kind of started because I know we don't have tons of time. So I'm going to go ahead and share my document camera and we can enjoy the process here. Unlike the Korean performance that was energetic and exciting, this is more of a quiet conversation over tea. And you are welcome to ask me questions about the tea ceremony. We can also talk about the season. You can also ask me questions. And if you want, you can unmute, or if you want to put the question in the chat and then someone can read the question to me, maybe that would work.
So Jennifer, I have a question.
Yes.
This is Shula from CCAS Global Initiatives. I have a question. So are you do tea ceremonies usually involve like kimonos or like fancy dress? I see you have like a really cute pink stash. I don't know if it's supposed to symbolize anything or you really just like the color pink. Like I would love to learn more about the dress of tea ceremonies.
Yes, thank you. Normally people would be wearing kimono. I do have worn kimono. It's another question, cultural appropriation question. So I always try to be really careful with that because I'm not Japanese and I'm not pretending to be Japanese. But today, to be honest, there's just no time to do that. I have a sash on because I do need to have a place to put my fukusa, which was that red cloth I was just using. So I hope that answers the question. Gonna warm the bowl here. No, it's pretty warm outside. This bowl is pretty cold and you have to warm the bowl to make the flavor of the tea really come out. That is some barking. Please excuse the barking. Hey. No other questions?
Hi, Jennifer. This is Patrick.
Yes.
I have a question. A traditional tea ceremony, how long does it really take from start to finish?
Yeah, so I counted up one time, there's about 500 steps to make a bowl of tea. And if you include other parts of the tea ceremony, including a meal or traditional drinking of sake, I mean, it could be hours. I'm just doing the very basics here just to show you kind of some of the traditions. When I do tea from start to finish, I've gotten it down to about 20 minutes, but I'm truncating a lot of it today so that you guys can just see kind of the exciting parts.
Sure.
I skipped the bowl part. Is there another question? Sorry, I interrupted.
So there are questions coming through the chat. One of them was, is the water hot? And then the second one, if you could explain each step you're doing so that.
Sure, yes, the water is hot. I pre-boiled the water. It's supposed to be 170 degrees, so slightly below boiling point. If it goes over boiling point, it does change the taste of the tea. You can see the one bowl here. I've actually over whisked this a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and drink this so I can show you another step. I would love to be sharing tea with you, which I will do on October 17th.
When you say it takes hours to make tea, do you mean hours to make one cup or like hours to make a lot of cups? Like, like how many, you know?
I know, right? It's a Japanese thing, so every step is very careful and plotted out. Yeah, so to do the whole tea ceremony, let me show you the cleansing. This is the cleansing part. I'm looking at the bamboo whisk to see if there's any broken parts, any tongs. And this is kind of a ceremonial cleansing of the bowl. In tea ceremony, the same bowl gets used. So it gets passed down. So not really a COVID safe practice. But in our tea ceremony, we're going to have different bowls for, everyone will have their own bowl. So that's the cleansing. I can warm it up again, although it's still warm from last bowl. And then I have a canister over here, which is a dirty water receptacle. I don't know if you can see that on the document camera. Let me pull that out a little bit. So there's another bowl over here that I'm dumping the dirty water. And this is a cloth for wiping out. You may notice that I'm sitting at a table, not on the floor. And that is an official Japanese style that was started in Meiji. So when the Americans broke open the ports in Yokohama in 1868, the Japanese thought they needed to create some kind of style that foreigners or Westerners could handle. And as you probably know, sitting on the floor on your knees for hours is painful. So they developed this table style called ryude. And this is the style that I practice because I have physical issues that I can't sit on the floor. So that's something that's going on. This is the tea caddy. I'll put, shall I clean it up or shall I make another bowl? Would you like to see that? I didn't go through that the first time. This is the tea caddy. And again, this is the one with which I think looks like a moon on the top here. So I chose that one today. And this is made of wood and has lacquer on it. And you scoop from the far side into the bowl and kind of spread it out and tap lightly twice. Get the dust off. Tea is very expensive, so we want to preserve the tea. The lid goes back on, and this gets placed back over here. At that point, I would take the lid off of this. This is a cold water receptacle. Any other questions? I can continue making tea for, I guess if you have, 10 guests, it's going to take an hour to make tea for everybody.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it only green tea, or are there different types of tea in Japanese culture that is used for the ceremony?
Yeah, great question. This is only one type of tea. This is ceremonial grade matcha. There's a lot of matchas out there, but the tea ceremony only uses matcha grown in Uji, which is an area in Kyoto, which is the old capital of Japan. So that's the tea that you're supposed to use for official tea ceremonies. This I got from a guy in Japantown in San Francisco. So I don't know. I think he said it was from Uji. I apologize if it's not. If you want to try it at home, which is a great idea, you can go to Trader Joe's or Wegmans. They all have ceremonial matcha now. And really you only need a bamboo whisk that you can buy on Amazon for like $6. And then you're just gonna whisk your tea and drink it. Does anyone drink matcha, like as a practice?
I did. When I was studying abroad, my host father would always, like, after school and after he came back from work, which is like really late, we would have like midnight matcha. And he was always telling me not to like boil it, because I feel like the Chinese way is like the minute it's boiled, like you gotta get that heat, you want to burn it to the extreme. But then with Japanese matcha, it was always so like cool comparatively. And I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right, but it tastes really good.
Yeah, I think the Chinese ceremony, well, I don't know a lot about the Chinese ceremony, but you're right, it's boiled water and it's hotter, and the Japanese, it's very contained and it should be drinkable. It shouldn't be too hot to drink. That's really sweet. Your host dad did that.
So I had a question. So with your setup, is there a certain like meaning behind each setup? Like one's supposed to face like the south while the other faces like north, I think when I took a tea ceremony class, my sensei said that like everything, like the decoration is usually like there's thought behind it. Like if it's autumn, then he would choose a cup that had leaves on it or
Yeah.
like something like that.
Yeah, I don't know about the tea ceremony and the direction that things point. I do know that in general, things shouldn't be pointed north, right? That's probably an Asian thing in general. And I did choose this cup today. I hope you guys can see this also has inside tea, inside the cup, it has the momiji, the maple leaves. I also just put a little decoration here of some momiji from my garden. Normally that would be decorated in more official way. I just wanted to have a little kind of, it's not ikebana, but something from nature inside. Normally you would also have a scroll that represents the season with some kind of poem. Usually it's a 4-character Chinese poem that represents the season. So the setup today here is not perfect, but as I told you guys in the opening, the tea master that came from Kyoto a few years ago told us that tea ceremony is basically dying in Japan. Fewer and fewer people practice tea ceremony, but more and more people practice it abroad. So we were glad to hear that he recognized our contribution abroad and that we want to keep spreading tea ceremony and preserve it as part of Japanese culture. I think it's sad that it's dying, but Japanese people, are interested in other things. So when you drink a bowl of tea, I'm just going to show you real quick. If you're at a tea ceremony, normally you would have another person sitting on your left, who's the next guest. So you turn the bowl 45 degrees so that the front of the bowl is now facing the person next to you when you drink, to kind of show them respect. And then you ask them, excuse me for drinking before you, you drink your tea. Then you turn it back and hand it back to the person making the tea, or there might be another person whose job it is to bring the tea to you. So that's always a thing. You hold it on your left hand and stabilize it with your right and turn it to the person next to you and then turn it back. As far as otsukimi or moon viewing, the last 4 or 5 years, the Japan America Society has asked me to do tea ceremony for their otsukimi celebration at the Arboretum. So we have gone to the Arboretum and they've had different activities outside, including Japanese koto playing outside. One year it was raining, so we were all inside. And the point is to be outside and be together and enjoying tea. I'll just go ahead and close this. So when I'm ready to close it, I use a cold water. And other questions are welcome.
I have another question, Jennifer.
Yes.
How many different variations are there? I mean, it must fluctuate, right? There must be different types of the ceremony.
Yes, there are 3 main schools of tea, and that is based on after Senno Rikyu, who was kind of the founder of the modern Japanese tea ceremony, after he died in a ritualistic suicide. If you're interested, I have a movie for you too, called The Death of a Tea Master, which is on YouTube. Somebody wants to put that in the chat for me. I would really appreciate that. Death of a Tea Master. It stars Toshiro Mifune, who's a famous actor. You'll recognize him when you see him. If you would like to learn more about the founder of tea ceremony. And he, after he died, his disciples fought over who was the real tea master. So there are 3 schools, 3 main schools. There are tons of other, what should I say, minor schools. The one that I do is Omote Senke, but Ura Senke is more popular in the world, and Omote means front and ura means behind. And the only reason for that is the front of the main tea house headquarters for Omote faces the street. And for ura, the front of the Ura Senkei compound faces the back of the street. So it doesn't really mean anything. There are other types of tea ceremony based on regions. The one that I know is Omote, but some people know a couple of kinds. And somebody mentioned earlier they had a friend that might be practicing Ura Senkei.
Great. Thanks so much, Jennifer. We do have another question that came through the chat. Do you have any recommendations for tea cafes in the DMV area to experience tea ceremonies?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Teaism in Penn Quarter sometimes has events. If you guys are familiar with Teaism, that's also where I usually buy my matcha. They have ceremonial grade tea matcha from Uji in Teaism. The other place that I know that does tea ceremony is in Herndon. It's called the Eldon Tea Shop. I don't know if anybody is able to Google those and put them in the chat. So the Teaism in Penn Quarter, Eldon Tea Shop. It's on Eldon Street. I think it's in Herndon. And then of course my event in a couple of weeks. Please come to my event. Should I get the link for that and put that in the chat too so people could sign up?
Yes, that'd be lovely. Or you could give it to me or Sigur Center, and we would be more than happy to share that with you. Oh, I misspelled Eldon. It's Eldon with an E, guys, not an O. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just put everything you wanted.
Is it E-L-D-E-N? I think.
Yeah, I put E-L-D-O-N, and I thought it sounded very Tolkien-esque.
Tolkien. Yeah.
You know, it sounds like an elf city.
That's another thing. There's another place in Ellicott City called Matcha Times Cafe. I don't know if they do tea ceremonies though. Matcha Times Cafe in Ellicott City.
Have you ever been to Chin Chin Cha in Georgetown?
No.
Oh, it's lovely. It's run by this like couple from Sichuan, China, and I mean it's obviously different from Japanese tea ceremony, but it has like some of the best. Whenever I miss home, I go there for authentic Chinese tea.
Maybe you can take me there sometime.
Yes, I'll put that in the chat as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know how this incorporates into other countries or other culture celebrations, but the Otsukimi celebration is a family event, as other people have said, and for my tea group, we get together, we have an official tea ceremony, and we always have music presentations. We may have some poem presentations. We have the flowers decorated and we have the scrolls, and we meet in a place that's kind of open to the outside. So you kind of feel like well, this room that I'm in now is kind of an inside outside room. So it gives you that feeling of being kind of more with nature.
I guess one more question I do have with the time allowed is, of the 3 schools, why did you choose your current school? Like why did you choose this one essentially? Yeah,
so the whole world of tea is kind of secretive, and until maybe, let's say, the last 10-15 years. My group was founded in DC 10 years ago, so I started shortly after that, and I knew some of the founders and liked what they were doing as far as outreach and doing official events at the Freer. And we were at the Freer for the reopening celebration. Was that 2 years ago? I don't know, maybe some of you were there. And I made like, I don't know, 100, 200 bowls of tea and served to people. So I like the outreach aspect because I think this is a good way to get people interested in Japan, is serve them a bowl of tea. And then you can talk more about the culture. Learning the language is not always the best way into a culture because it's such a high hurdle, as I'm sure you all know. So I like to provide another way in to the culture, and this was available, and I knew the people doing it, and yeah, hope you can join us at some point.
I have a question. Why is tea so symbolic, or what is so important about tea? I know that tea is important in East Asian cultures in general, but especially for Japan, why is it so revered?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and that's a historical question. Going back to Heian, right, when tea came over from China, and then Japanese people started planting tea plants in Japan. Over the course of, let's say, 1,000 years, tea went from being something super protected and only for nobility, to something that was religious, that it took on a religious meaning, that only the Shinto monks could practice tea. And then, of course, what kind of like when Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire, when tea became part of the Nobunaga regime, and he enlisted Sen no Rikyu to be his official tea master. That's really when tea got situated in Japan as an official ceremony. And that was from the samurai class. It was a samurai experience. And Sen no Rikyu's room was only I don't know if you guys know tatami mats, tiny little mat room. He had a 2.5 mat room, which is like, what, 9 square feet? And he would ask 2 guests to come in and sit. And part of that was that you would kind of be sitting knee to knee. And if you were fighting, if you were samurai or nobility that were fighting outside the room, you couldn't fit your swords and whatnot into the room. So it was a place of peace and tranquility. Plus you're sitting knee to knee with your enemy. So it was kind of forced peace negotiations, so to speak. And the way that we practice now is pretty much the same way that he established 400 years ago, which is an exciting thing to be practicing an ancient culture like that. Here in my dining room in Falls Church, who, I don't think he ever envisioned that, but tea taking on different roles throughout history, religious, medicinal, ceremonial, noble, and then now we're trying to make it more open so just commoners like me can enjoy it. Did that kind of answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for the great question.
That's all the time we have. We have a few more minutes and I'll close it out here. Jennifer, thank you so much for this.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. I'm now finished here with this. So I would, in the official tea ceremony, I would invite you then to come and inspect all of the implements. I would display the implements and you can come up and look at them and hold them and, ask questions and whatnot, but we can't do that today. So hopefully we can do that on the 17th.
Yes. Thanks again, Jennifer.
ありがとうございます。
Once again, a huge thank you to all of our sponsors, speakers, and everyone present today for making this a great event. Please be sure to subscribe to our newsletters and follow us on social media so you don't miss out on events like this one. This officially concludes our 2021 Mid-Autumn Festival virtual celebration. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival, everyone.
异乡，你去看一看，月亮代表我的心。
Thanks again, Patrick. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the sponsors. Make sure to check out the GW Asian and Pacific Islander Alumni Network. They are amazing. They do amazing things. Chinese American Student Association as well, and the Study Japan Arlington. You guys are all free to go. I just thought it'd be cute to play a little music as you guys all exited. But I do appreciate the 13 people who stayed after Patrick was like, you guys are free to go. But thank you. Hopefully we'll see you guys next year, hopefully in person. But yeah, oh wow, we could just got someone join us. I know. Okay, well, that is all. Thanks, Jennifer, again. Thank you guys again.
Thank you. Email you?
Yes, go ahead.
Email you the flyer so you can distribute that.
Yeah, I think you put a flyer
in the chat. Are you able